My name is Leonard Matthews. I'm 62 years old. I'm serving a 45-year sentence for armed robbery. I've been in here since 1997. And last night, I laid on this thin prison mattress and I thought about the moment I threw it all away for $1,800 and a case of terrified pride. Let me tell you what happened. To explain that moment, you need to understand where I came from. I was raised in the north end of Flint, Michigan. Both my parents worked hard in the factories that were already starting to close down. I had two younger brothers. We weren't poor, but we saw the writing on the wall. The whole city was holding its breath, waiting for the bottom to fall out. I got my high school diploma and became a machine operator just like my dad. For a while, I thought I'd beaten the odds. I had a job, a family, but it was a house of cards. I got married, had my son Marcus, then the divorce. The machine shop work got sporadic. By 1997, I was 31, living in a cramped apartment, and every check was spoken for before I got it. Child support, rent, utilities. The fear wasn't dramatic. It was a constant low hum in my chest. My brothers had their own struggles. My parents were aging. I felt like I was on an island, and the water was rising. The pressure built in small daily moments. One with my son broke me. It was 2 days before everything changed. Marcus was visiting. He was 7. We were watching TV and he looked up at me, all big eyes, and asked if we could order a pizza. Just a plain cheese pizza. I emptied my pockets onto the kitchen table, a handful of change, a few crumpled dollar bills. I counted it twice. I had to tell my boy no. Not tonight, but I can't. The shame of that was a physical burn. It felt bigger than any law. That shame curdled into something desperate. It narrowed my world to one terrible idea. The shop laid off another shift. I saw no doors left. A guy I knew from a bar, a fool, had a gun. I borrowed it. It wasn't about getting rich. It was about stopping the fear for 1 minute. I drove to a convenience store I knew, one I'd been to 100 times. The owner was Mr. Patel. He'd sold me milk and bread, asked about Marcus. He was a neighbor. I sat in my beat-up car outside that store for a long time, watching him through the glass. I watched Mr. Patel stocking shelves. He waved to a regular customer. My hands were on the steering wheel, and they were shaking. But they weren't shaking from fear of getting caught. They were shaking because I knew with absolute clarity what I was about to become. I was about to turn a man I knew by name into a victim. I was about to trade my soul for the money in his register. I wish I could tell you I got out of the car and drove away. I didn't. I put on a ski mask, walked in. The bell jingled. Mr. Patel looked up, smiled, then the smile died. I pointed the gun, my voice a gravelly thing I didn't recognize, and told him to empty the register. He did. He was terrified. I took the cash, $1,800, and a carton of cigarettes from behind the counter. The whole thing took 90 seconds. In 90 seconds, I erased Leonard Matthews, the machinist, the father, and created Leonard Matthews, the felon. The arrest was fast. The processing was a blur. But the real sentence began that first night. They put me in a county jail cell. They gave me a thin, plastic-covered mat and laid it on a concrete slab. I laid down. The hardness of it shot through my whole body, my hips, my spine, my skull. And in that instant, I remembered my bed at home, my soft, saggy, perfect mattress. I'd complained about its lumps just a week before. I had traded that. I had traded everything, my son, my freedom, my name, for this concrete. The violence of my crime was one thing. The violence of that understanding was another. They moved me to prison. The trial was a formality. Then came the day they told me the number. The judge said 45 years. The number just hung in the air. It didn't mean anything at first. Then I did the math. Marcus was 7, 45 years. He'd be 52 when I got out. If I got out. I'd be an old man. He'd be older than I was, sitting there in that courtroom. My brothers were in the gallery. I saw the shock on their faces. That was the last time I saw them for a very long time. The years started passing, one after the other. The world moved on without me. I've served 28 years of that sentence. My parents passed. I wasn't there. Marcus, we lost contact. My brothers, the 2 younger boys I helped raise, they stopped writing. I understood. I'm a ghost to them. Then last week a letter came from my youngest brother. First word in over a decade. It was short. Just a few lines about his life, his kids. No deep questions. But it was a thread. And holding that paper, I felt the full weight of every choice that led me here, to a cell where a letter is a major event. That letter is why I'm talking to you now. It made me finally understand what I need to say. I thought I was poor back then. I was wrong. Freedom isn't a grand idea. It's the texture of your own sheets. It's opening your own refrigerator without asking. It's the silence in your own home that isn't broken by slamming steel doors or another man snoring. It's a door you can lock from the inside. If you have that, a soft mattress, a quiet kitchen, a lock you control, you are richer than you think. You are wealthy beyond measure. I had all of that, and I called it nothing. I had a home. It was a small, shabby apartment on the north side, but it was mine. The lock on that door was mine to turn. I could make a sandwich at 2 a.m. I could sit on my couch and just stare at the wall if I wanted to. I could complain about a lumpy mattress. You see, that's the thing I didn't understand. The ability to complain about your own life, to be bored by it, to take it for granted. That is the ultimate luxury. That is the sign you still have it. When you lose the right to be bored, you understand what you had. Let me tell you about a Tuesday. Just a regular Tuesday, maybe a year before everything happened. I got home from the shop, tired, grease under my nails. I made a pot of coffee that was too strong. I sat at my kitchen table and I just sat there. I was thinking about nothing in particular. Maybe the game that was on TV later. The silence was so complete. It was my silence. There was no count, no loudspeaker, no one telling me when to move. I was just a man in a quiet room. I didn't cherish it. I barely noticed it. I would give anything now to have that one boring, silent Tuesday back. Here's what I traded it for. My world is 6 feet by 9 feet. The door is solid steel with a slot for a tray. It locks from the outside. Every sound echoes. You hear every cough, every argument, every nightmare from the cells around you. You have no silence. You have no solitude, even when you're alone. Your time is not your own. You eat when they tell you. You sleep when they tell you. You go outside when they tell you. For 28 years, I haven't made a single choice about what to do with an hour of my own time. Not one. And the mattress. You think about a mattress when you don't have a good one. This one is thin, maybe 2 inches of foam on a steel platform. You feel every spring. You learn to sleep on your back, perfectly still, because any turn grinds your bones against the hard surface. For the first 5 years, I woke up with a headache every single morning from the pressure on my skull. Now, my body's just used to being uncomfortable. It's my normal. But I remember the softness. I remember sinking into it. I remember the smell of my own pillow. That's the real punishment, you know. It's not the time. It's the theft of all the small things. The theft of choice. The theft of comfort. The theft of quiet. They give you a number and a uniform and they take your name. But that's not the worst of it. The worst is they take your right to be a person in your own space. They make every single basic human comfort a memory. I look at my brother's letter. He wrote about taking his kids to soccer practice, about his wife painting the kitchen, about being tired from fixing a leaky faucet. He was telling me about his life, and all I could think was, he has a leaky faucet in his own house, and he gets to fix it. He has the problem, and he has the freedom to solve it. He has a kitchen to paint. He has a car to drive to a soccer field. He has an ordinary, boring, beautiful life. And for a long time, I was so wrapped up in my own shame and anger, I couldn't see that his letter wasn't just news. It was a list of miracles. Every single line was a miracle I threw away. So when I say you're richer than you think, I'm not talking about money. I had $1,800 in my hand that night. It was gone in weeks on a lawyer who couldn't change a thing. No, your wealth is in the key you turn in your own lock. It's in the chore you complain about. It's in the quiet moment of boredom you have tonight. That is the currency. That is the fortune. I had an account full of that currency, and I spent it all in one stupid, violent moment. I bankrupted myself of Tuesdays. And of Saturdays with my son. And of ever seeing my parents grow old. Of ever helping them. That's the part that eats at me in the dark. My mother died in 2008. My father followed in 2012. I was not there. I was here. I got a form letter from the warden's office each time, granting a request for a phone call to the funeral home. I spoke to a director I didn't know, arranged for flowers I couldn't afford, and hung up the phone in a booth with a guard watching me. I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to hold my mother's hand. I didn't get to see if my father's hair had gone fully white. My brothers handled everything. The 2 younger boys I'd looked out for, taught to throw a football, had to bury our parents alone. I became another burden for them, a shame they had to explain. So they stopped explaining. They stopped coming. The silence from my family, that's a different kind of concrete. It's the mattress you can't fix. You just have to lie on it. For years I was angry about it. I'd think, I made a mistake, one terrible mistake. Don't I deserve a letter, a visit? But that's the prison talking. That's the entitlement of a man who took something and thinks he should still get something back. The truth is, my crime wasn't just against Mr. Patel. It was against them. It stole their brother, their son, their nephew. It forced them to live with the fact that someone they loved could do something so ugly. I forced that on them. My choice. So their silence, that's their choice. And I have to live with that too. But that letter last week from my baby brother, he's not a baby anymore. He's in his 50s now, has kids in college. He wrote 3 paragraphs. He said his daughter made the dean's list. He said they're thinking of moving to a smaller house now that the kids are gone. He said he hopes I'm holding up okay. That was the phrase, holding up okay. He didn't ask about my life. What is there to ask? He didn't say he missed me. He didn't say he forgave me. He just told me about a Tuesday in his life, a boring, ordinary, beautiful Tuesday. And that's what broke me. Not the silence, the kindness, the simple, devastating kindness of including me, the ghost, in his ordinary life. It was an act of grace I don't deserve. And reading it, alone on my bunk, I finally saw the full ledger. Not just what I lost, but what I took. I took a Tuesday from Mr. Patel. I walked into his store, a place he built with his own hands, and I filled it with terror. I pointed a gun at a man who knew my face. I turned his safe place into a crime scene. For 90 seconds of my life, I owned all the fear in that room, and he has had to live with the memory of that fear for 28 years. Every time a bell jingles, does he flinch? I don't know. I'll never know. I took his peace. I traded it for $1,800 that I blew on nothing. I took a childhood from Marcus. He needed a father. He got an inmate number. He got to visit a man in a jumpsuit in a room that smells of bleach and despair. He got to hear other kids talk about their dads coaching baseball or teaching them to drive. What did he get from me? A voice on a monitored phone call. A father who was a lesson in what not to become. The shame of my name. I wasn't there for his first day of high school, his graduation, his first heartbreak. I was here, counting days. I became a blank space in his life, and eventually, it was easier for him to just stop looking at the blank space. I don't blame him, not one bit. If love is showing up, then I taught him by my absence that I didn't love him enough. That's the worst lie of all, and I let him believe it. I took a brother from my brothers. They had to navigate a dying town, aging parents, their own struggles, without their big brother. They had to answer for me. What happened to Leonard? Where's your brother? I became the family secret, the tragedy. I left them alone to figure it all out. And when they couldn't carry it anymore, they put me down. They had to, for their own survival. I laid on my bunk after reading that letter, and I added it all up. The Tuesdays, the pizzas, the soccer games I never saw, the parents I didn't bury, the peace I shattered, the trust I obliterated. I added up 28 years of sunrises I saw through barbed wire, of meals eaten off a tray, of holidays that are just another day with worse food. I added up 10,220 nights on this thin mattress, and the total was so simple, so stupid, it made me laugh. A dry, hollow sound in the cell. The total was a cheese pizza, a 7-year-old's request. That was the first domino. My shame over a pizza was so big, so all-consuming, that it blinded me to the entire world of riches I still had. I had a son who wanted to be with me. I had a key to my own door. I had a soft place to sleep. I had my name, my freedom, my future. I was a rich man, and I was too busy staring at the empty change on my table to see the fortune I was sitting in. That's the realization. That's the gut punch. It wasn't that I was poor. It was that I was a fool. I was the richest man in my neighborhood, and I thought I was bankrupt. So I committed a violent, stupid act to get what I thought was currency, and in doing so, I spent every real dime I had. I spent it all in one night. And now I'm here, a 62-year-old man who understands the price of everything and owns nothing. The irony is so thick I can taste it. It tastes like metal and old concrete. But that letter, it did something else too. It didn't just bring the pain. It was a message in a bottle. It was proof that somewhere out there, across the walls and the wire, an ordinary life is still being lived. A life with leaky faucets and dean's lists and decisions about downsizing. A soft life. A soft life. That's what I traded. That's what I want you to understand. Here's what I learned lying here for 28 years. Wealth isn't what you have in your pocket. It's what you have in your life that no one can take unless you give it away. I gave mine away. I handed it over for a handful of bills and a carton of cigarettes. I learned that freedom is a collection of tiny, boring things. It's the weight of your own key. It's the sound of your own refrigerator humming in the middle of the night. It's the complaint you make about a chore, because having a chore means you have a home to care for. I had all of that. I had a son who wanted to eat pizza with me. I had a bed that cradled me. I had a door that locked behind me, keeping my world safe. And I called it not enough. I looked at it and saw only what was missing, not the absolute fortune that was already there. My poverty wasn't financial. It was a poverty of vision. I couldn't see my own riches. The shame over that pizza blinded me. It made me think that being a good father was about providing things, when what Marcus needed was just me, present, accountable, there. He needed the father who said, "Not tonight, buddy, but let's make some popcorn instead." He didn't need the money. He needed the man. And I was so fixated on the symbol of my failure, the change on the table, that I abandoned the real job. I left him to become a ghost in his life because I thought being a ghost with $1,800 was better than being a present father who was broke. I was wrong. I was so terribly wrong. So here is my direct advice to you from this cell. Tonight, when you walk through your door, stop. Feel the lock click behind you. That sound is a promise. It says this space is yours. Walk to your kitchen. Open your refrigerator. Just stand there in the light of it. That is a kingdom. Make a sandwich, even if you're not hungry, just because you can. Go sit on your couch. Be bored. Be so bored you notice the pattern in the ceiling, the way the light falls at that time of day. That boredom is a luxury I would trade years of my life to feel again. Don't wait for a loss to show you what you have. Don't be like me. Don't let a moment of fear or shame or desperation convince you that the solution is to take something, to force something, to violate the peace of your own life or someone else's. The solution is almost always to sit in the discomfort, to feel the shame, the fear, the lack, and to just bear it, to reach out even when it's hard, to say, "I'm struggling." I didn't do that. I turned inward, and then I turned violent. I solved nothing. I only multiplied the pain by every person who knew me. You still have time. You have tonight. You have tomorrow morning. You have the incredible, mundane luxury of choice. You can choose to call your brother you haven't spoken to. You can choose to be patient with your kid. You can choose to just sit in your living room and be still. That isn't nothing. That's the whole game. That's the prize. Don't waste it planning for a different life, a richer life, a better life. Your life, with its soft mattress and its leaky faucet and its quiet Tuesdays, is the beautiful one. It's the one I dream about. This channel, from what I understand, is for stories like mine. For people who've lived a long time and learned hard lessons, usually too late. If what I've said tonight hit you somewhere real, if it made you look at your own kitchen table differently, then do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. I may not have more stories, but there are others on here who do. People who've learned different kinds of truths that might help you. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me, what's one small, boring thing you're grateful for tonight? Is it the weight of your own key? The softness of your own pillow? Just say it. Naming it makes it real. It makes you see it. If this story made you think of someone, maybe someone who's feeling that low hum of fear I talked about, or someone who needs to hear that their ordinary life is enough, share it with them. Just hit share. It's easy. It might be the thing that changes their trajectory. And if you've got a story of your own, something you've learned the hard way, there's a form in the description. Fill it out. Maybe your story can be told next. Maybe you can help someone else hold on to their soft mattress before they trade it for concrete. There's a book I read in the library here once, years ago, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He found purpose in a place worse than this. He wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." Now think about that. I can't choose my circumstances, but I can choose to tell you this. I can choose to hope it lands. That's my freedom now. My name is Leonard Matthews. I'm 62. I have 17 years left on my sentence if I make it that long. I don't know if I'll ever sleep on a soft mattress again, but I know this. If you have one, you are richer than you think. Don't just lie on it. Feel it. That's the whole point.